Hello and welcome back to another game of Starcraft 2. I understand it has been about 2 years since my last Starcraft 2 cast, and I decided that it's time to come back. It's time to show this game the respect it deserves, and I think that this is a perfect time to do it. We are now in 2018. I am casting a game from 2017 from the WCS Championship, and I think that this is a great way to start for me to actually just get into the mechanics of the game, get into the casting spirit, the casting strength, and basically hopefully not make too many mistakes in both terms of catching out engagements and also to basically just be comfortable with casting, because as I said, it's been a while. This is my first cast. This is my third attempt at it because I have made so many mistakes, yeah, so my research so far has led me to believe that the game has progressed quite a lot, especially after this this tournament. There was actually a major patch, so obviously this is not including the new changes, but we're gonna cast this as it is. Obviously there's going to be some new things that might not be familiar to players that are currently playing the game or have recently started playing the game, but the older players will obviously be very familiar with this. Now, on the bottom left hand side here, we've got SpeCial, also known as Major, who I've previously casted in several games. So this is Juan Carlos Tena Lopez, 24 years old, from Mexico. He is representing Exeed, Esports and the Terran race. His opponent is Stats on the top right hand side here. He is playing the blue Protoss, and he is Kim Dae-yob, 25 years old, from South Korea, also representing Team Splyce. So both players opting to go for a natural expansion here. This is very similar to a previous map that I used to cast. Can't even remember the name of it, it's been so long, but the difference here is that this starting base is absolutely huge. Now, I don't know what the thought behind such massive bases with Blizzard was. I mean, obviously they have game designers, map designers, or submissions where they might choose a map for a certain trait, a certain balance detail, but basically what we've got here is we've got massive starting base, a very tight natural expansion, and a very tight second expansion. Now after that, it is going to take some time to actually expand any further out of that, because the map kind of has very far expansions after that. So this one will probably be the next one, followed by potentially this one, depending on obviously the player, the preference, and the situation. So we've got ourselves a single Reaper flying around here, quite normal as well these days in the start, and actually back then it was kind of normal as well to rush out a Reaper to see how much harassment you can get against your opponent. And this Reaper escapes with his life. Reapers do regenerate health if not attacked for a while, so there you go, starting to regenerate that health. And ooh, look at this, we've got ourselves a starport coming out, SpeCial with the sneaky tactics. Now, can we call this cheese? I don't think we can. It's quite a late starport. You could have potentially built it here and had very similar results if it wasn't scouted. So I'm not going to call this one cheese. I'm going to say this is standard. And yeah, so there's the observer coming out from Stats with the Robo Bay already long ago. Building 2 extra gateways and getting the warp gate technology up also. Now, as you can see here, Mothership Core has just gone out. Now, the Mothership Core still exists in this patch, so this is the previous patch before the remake. So we're obviously going to catch up to that in more future games, but right now, this is where we are. So let's see workers killed. Nothing killed yet, which is interesting. That means that this Reaper has only been used for scouting. Now, don't mistake only scouting as a loss of resources, because it is absolutely not. Doing a bit of disruption to the mining, which is very important. At this level of play, every bit of disruption is actually quite important, because if you can pull ahead even just a little bit for a few seconds, that can help you a lot in the late game. Now, this Liberator is actually coming up here, gonna start to do a bit of damage now. Has Stats spotted it? He has not. Oh, and there it is, managing to pick off one worker here, and actually I think the Reaper took out the second worker here. If we double check that, yeah, that's the case. So managing to pick off one worker and having his observer picked off on the bottom right hand side here. Now that was actually a scan also used up, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Now the Widow Mine managed to pick off a third probe, so that's nice. And also gives him the timing of this Nexus, knowing that that probe was coming here to build a Nexus, taking it out, obviously delaying it by a little bit, which is a huge deal, but also seeing the timing of it. Now, Terrans survive on less bases a lot better than any other race, because they're quite good at turtling and quite good at getting a lot of units out with little resources. Mainly because Marines are so cheap, and you can pretty much stack them up quite a lot. Now this starport heading on down just in case, because I can imagine that the stats would get suspicious that this Liberator came out quite quickly. Got ourselves another Liberator here, managing to actually pick off 2 kills. Didn't spot that. Oh sorry, that is actually the same Liberator, so managing to pick off 1 more over here. Disrupting mining a little bit, that's a very important thing. Now this Liberator has probably paid for itself at this point, simply because of the fact that it has interrupted mining in 2 bases for let's say 3-4 seconds each. Not too bad, absolutely worth it in terms of 1 Liberator cost. I mean, he's going to have that starport for a later time anyways. It just takes a bit of time to get it back, which is a bit unfortunate, but that is quite alright. So he's got himself a second or rather that's the only Liberator. I keep forgetting where this Liberator is going and then losing track of it. So this Liberator is just flying around, gonna do a little bit of scouting just to see if he can spot anything, and then possibly try to sneak around here. So he might actually try to go for this base, do a bit of interruption here as well, which means you can just imagine all 3 bases, like in real life, they'd be like, we might potentially get blown up at any point. He's been everywhere on the map with this 1 Liberator, and just trying to kill us poor little workers gathering money. So that's pretty much this Liberator's job. Let's see how he sets up here. Just sitting idle a little bit. Now he is going to be out of vision here, so that's not going to be visible for a while. So he's quite okay leaving that here for a little bit. Now it's in vision, and oh, he gets spotted immediately, preventing this. And is he going to get taken out here? Not paying attention. The Liberator getting taken out quite quickly here. That is very, very unfortunate. Now, as you can see here, Stats is definitely aware of this 3rd expansion at this point. He knows that he's going to soon have to think about an expansion himself, because the main base is not going to last too long. As you can see here, 180 minerals, 115. Gonna soon need to move on out and get more, because he does not want to play against a 4 or even, I suppose, 3 base Terran when he is just on 2. A small bio ball here, probably going to be building more, seeing as SpeCial's main, I would say main playstyle involves a lot of bio, because he just loves to play with them for their mobility and flexibility. They can pretty much do anything. I mean, they can do anti-air, they can do anti-ground, they can kite, they can kill Zerg. So yeah, let's see what he does with these. This ball has grown a little bit since we last seen it, and he continues to produce more Marauders, trying on a few extra Marines, trying on a few extra Liberators as well, so that's a big deal. It means he's going to possibly try to turtle his way forward, so possibly setting up around, if this base doesn't come up, which it might any moment now, he might try to put the Liberators up here and then slowly bring them up. Actually, this probe is coming up here for that extra base. Now this base is a little bit harder to breach until the point that you break the rocks, which obviously gives a whole lot of warning to your opponent that this is coming their way. Now, as you can see, Terran weapons and armor have already weapons has been created, level 1, and Protoss level 1 weapons also has been upgraded. Now this bio ball is a lot more scary at this point. There's going to be Liberators coming behind it as well that he's been building up until this point. So he's got 2 more Liberators. He's got the level 1 shields coming out, or armor rather. Now, interesting thing is, he's also going for the armor, which could potentially mean that he might be transitioning to or at least getting ready to transition to another style of play rather than bio, because obviously the armor gives you upgrades for mech units. But let's see where he goes with that. Could potentially see some siege tanks coming out as well. We've got ourselves the Liberator disrupting mining again. This is some really nice plays here from SpeCial. Despite the fact that he's got his main army at his opponent's door, he's not pushing too hard, but at the same time, his opponent has to focus his army up the front. So as you can see, all of his ball is right here. Not a huge one actually, but it's pretty much sitting right there, and it has to sit there because if the main army comes in while he's trying to fight this off, he could be in a lot of trouble. Now a few workers getting picked off here. Nothing major, 5, 7, actually that 7 is probably coming from here, so we got ourselves a few zealots in this natural expansion, getting taken out there. Losing his scouting marine. And losing his liberator. So this liberator is gonna pretty much get taken out. I don't think he can outrun a Phoenix. Fort base coming up here, fort expansion rather coming out here for a SpeCial, and the question is, obviously he's not aware of it yet. It's way too soon to be aware of it since it just came up. And here's the Bioball coming out. So let's see what he does with this. We got ourselves actually another drop here. This is 4 zealots, and there's the or rather the ball of. I suppose it's not really called a death ball anymore with Protoss because it's kind of standard. Everyone knows this is exactly what it is. There's a few High Templars mixed in, Stalkers for pretty much all around goodness, and yeah, Colossus to counter off the big Bioball that is up here. Now with these Liberators, this is going to be extremely difficult to deal with, and this is something that Terran excels at, is very slowly pushing with these Liberators. Now it's going to be very difficult, and there's another actually drop here. Look at these Zealots taking out the entire base, and this is huge. Now these Liberators are going to prevent the movement any further up, but this is going to continue dropping down. This expansion is going to in the meantime get taken out. Good reaction here from SpeCial to continue to push while Stats is being distracted down the south. Now the only thing is that these Zealots are now running rampant around the main base, and the question is going to be, what is he going to take out with them, and what is he going to focus down while his expansion is getting taken out? This is his second expansion to get destroyed. Now this is absolutely massive, because SpeCial has an army advantage. There are a few Tempests up here already, so they can deal with things from a long range, but at the same time, there's been so much economic damage done to SpeCial. The one saving grace that SpeCial has got is that he has expanded already, so he can safely expand here and build workers for that and continue mining, especially the fact that he is one base ahead of his opponent and also denying that extra base for his opponent at the same time. Oh no, this Tempest! Getting caught out by the Terran Ball. Not a great position for that Tempest to be. Obviously being controlled altogether to move in to his opponent's or to his main army. So the army is kind of splitting up his base and the main army, which is not great for him because he's kind of just in a position where he can either surround his enemy if he believes he has enough army, or he can just get the units destroyed that are moving in. Now these Zealots are still causing some havoc in the main base, but nothing too major. I think this is a much bigger push, and SpeCial is in such a good position right now. He's got a massive lead in the income. He's got an army supply lead of about 30, and he has destroyed pretty much all expansions that are making a lot of money for Stats right now. So the main base is completely mined out. The natural expansion is almost there, but still quite healthy in terms of minerals. And this is not looking good. This is not looking good whatsoever. This Liberator alone can completely deny the mining here. Now I don't think he's going to go ahead and build here. That's a very risky move and could very easily be taken out, but let's see what is moving on here. And I'm not really sure what can be done at this point. Oh, this is a huge engagement actually, because the storms on top of the Archons would have been a lot of damage, but look, the actual army ball here, or the bio ball, is a little bit too big at this point. Not sure what can be done. This one little Archon morphing in at the wrong place. And this has actually turned quite nicely around. Stats has got a good army composition to deal with this. All he has to do really is not get caught by these Liberators, and he can do quite well here, despite the fact that his army is about 40 supply smaller. That's because a lot of his army is actually down here, not yet reinforced. So he's just making use of what he's got here to continue the harassment and see what he can pull off with this. Now at this point, I think he's probably just abandoned these few units. He's probably just using them to to scout out a little bit just to see what's going on, see if you can pull off or pick off any units, managing to pick off a High Templar with quite a lot of energy actually. And is he going to manage to take off this Nexus? That'll be huge. This army is so low on health, but no, not managing to pick off that. I think it is going to be safe despite the fact that it's quite low on health, so could potentially see that sniped a little bit later. And this bio ball is monstrous. The income is more than double, it's almost triple in terms of minerals for SpeCial, so he can produce a huge number of Marines right now. Now the upgrades are very similar as you saw there, both having weapons and armor level 2 and also air units, air weapons level 1. Nothing really major there. I think that the biggest hindering factor for stats right now is the massive army supply lead that SpeCial has. Now there's also 2 sensor towers up already. These are going to give him a great advantage in terms of scouting out any incoming harassment, and obviously those zealots did quite a lot of damage early on. Not quite enough though. I think that if he managed to snipe off a command center or 2, it would have been a lot better, or even the production facilities, but because he did not manage to do that, he lost 2 expansions or even 3 expansions because of that, and that put him quite a good bit back. Now Stats has gone for a very late army here. As you can see, he's got himself Tempests, Colossi, and he's also got himself a lot of High Templars. So while he is quite far behind on army supply, his army is extremely powerful versus what is on the field right now. Colossus, I wouldn't say they're great against Marauders simply because Marauders have so much health, but they are still Colossus and they're good against Bio. Now this could play a huge role here. This status ward, not catching too many units, about 4 units. Is it going to make any difference now? He's backing off. All his High Templars are on low health. Good storms hitting all of these units, but SpeCial just has too much army supply to actually fall for this. The only advantage that Stats currently has is that SpeCial does not have a whole lot of anti-air, and there are Tempests overhead. Is he gonna hold off on this engage? I think he might, but not for long. The actual Vikings showing up here, they're gonna take care of these Tempests slowly but surely, and there's not a whole lot that he can do at this point. 37 army supply to 31. Is this gonna be GG? I certainly think that it is, and there it is. SpeCial taking game number 1 between these 2 fantastic players. That was an exciting first game to cast for you guys. I hope that you will stick around. If not, I do apologize. I know I'm not great yet, but I will do everything in my power to improve and basically just be as good as possible with whatever things that I can improve. Now there's going to be a few additions to the stream, a few additions to the recording, a few extra little bits like player frames and such that I'm going to implement, possibly even from video 1. We'll see where we get with that. And I'm going to also, I'm thinking of adding a bit of stats. And by the way, I'm talking a bit extra just to kind of prevent spoilers. So there's also a bit of stats that I want to implement in, for example, percentage of cheese per player since I started casting them. So I'm going to start this probably in 2000 or once I start games from 2018 tournaments, and basically I'm going to count percentage of games where a certain player cheeses in the game. This will also be displayed at the beginning, so we'll see how we get on that. So thank you so much for sticking around for this cast. If you're here up until the end, I am so grateful for you coming here. If you have left already, then obviously you're not seeing this, but I am grateful regardless to whoever stuck around for any bit of this video. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more. I will see you guys in the next video, which is going to be game 2 between Stats and SpeCial from the WCS Championship 2017. Let's jump on ahead.